I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What is up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome back to the Dead to Me after show. It feels like it's been so long. It's been a year, so it kind of has been a while. But I am so excited. We are going to be breaking down season 2, episodes 1 and 2. You Know What You Did and Where Have You Been? That's some pretty ominous titles if I've ever heard them. As always, I am your host, Taylor Gates. I am joined by two lovely co-panelists for these 2 episodes. We, of course, have the amazing host, actress, writer, soon-to-be-published author, Mia.
Hello. Wow, I'm flattered. That was the best intro I've ever gotten. Thank you, Taylor. I'm so excited to be here. Oh my gosh, I'm happy to be back with you two. This is just the best. This is the best of my life. It's okay. I said it. There we go.
It is. This is one of my favorite shows, and it's one of my favorite panels. I am just so excited. We also, of course, have the lovely, stunning, overall queen, Simone.
Stop it. Hi, guys. It's so nice to be reunited a year later. I can't believe it's been a year already. It came very quickly, but I'm happy because we have our show back, so I'm ready.
I'm so ready to. I remember watching this with my mom. We binged it on last Mother's Day, so this is just such a sweet full moment. Yes, I just can't wait. Let's just get right into it. Guys, I want to know your overall thoughts. The show is back. Was it everything you hoped for? Was it more? And just what were your overall thoughts on these 2 episodes?
I would say it was everything I hoped for and more. There is a reason when I went on to watch it today, it's #1 in the US on Netflix. And I was like, are we surprised? No. I mean, it's just the best. And I swear this show got funnier. Like, I already thought it was so funnier, but I was laughing out loud so much more. I don't know if you guys saw it too on social media, but they have a drinking game for this. So if you're of age, drink responsibly, join in. They're ramping it up this season. And just like, it's cool to see all the roles reversed between like Judy and Jen. And then also just the twist. And just, I always love each episode, you know, we talked about this a lot last season, but they kind of dive into and explore different, you know, parts of life. And in this episode, we see, the first 2, I should say, we see Judy go through a new type of grief. It's like Abe, and then 2 with Steve. So it's a lot. It's a lot of thoughts. I can't wait to dive in. It's going to be nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yes. The drinking game. Maybe we'll play that when we don't have a show to host right after. I'll do a rewatch party and we'll play the game with it. Simone, what were your thoughts?
I mean, immediately, like from the beginning, it was hilarious. Her nosy, annoying neighbor with the orange wine. Like, it just started out so strong. I was like, wait, what's orange wine? And I'm happy Jen also agreed, like, what are you talking about? What is orange wine? And it just continued to be consistently funny. Jen and Judy's weird dynamic of a friendship. They like meet each other, but it's complex and confusing. And like Mia said, the roles are reversed now and they're both experiencing grief, but like, how do you console someone when you're responsible for the grief? It's very twisted, but like good at the same time.
Absolutely. Completely agree. It's so, you have to watch it so many times to even like just really sink into the dynamic. I think like there's little things you pick up on every single time you watch, which is just like such a cool thing and just such a testament to the writing, I think. And I agree with Karen, like she's orange wine, Mexican lasagna. Like, what is this woman doing? Like, I can't.
Reddit, apparently.
I do want to try that though. Orange wine, that sounds kind of good.
Okay.
Honestly, like
sponsor us. We need orange wine.
We need like a drinking game, but also like the themed like meal or something from the show. Yes. I think that's so much fun. Speaking of meals, that's kind of where we start off in this episode. I thought it was because I was wondering where they were going to kind of pick up because we left on such a crazy cliffhanger of the night, you know, that obviously Jen killed Steve. And so we kind of start on the next morning where they're just like making breakfast, kind of pretending everything is fine. What did you guys think about that choice to start the morning after instead of picking right where they left off?
I don't know. I didn't mind it. I think like I knew they were going to eventually flash back to what happened. But I think it just proves that they had to just bounce back and go back to normal life and not bring attention to themselves as much as Jen is making things so obvious, or I think she's just super paranoid, so she feels like people know. But in order to cover up the crimes they did or the crime she did, you have to act like everything is normal and continue making breakfast and like nothing happened. Like she didn't just murder a man in cold blood.
Exactly, completely. And it is weird. It's weird to see them kind of trying to go back to normal when obviously everything is not normal again. And I loved being able to see Judy and Jen sort of have that time to kind of decompress and sort of dissect everything that happened when they were in the car together. And Jen is still acting really, really cold towards Judy, despite her being the sort of, I guess, enemy in this situation now. Mia, what did you think about that? Did you think that she would be more apologetic, or was it very Jen of her to just be like, yeah, we're not talking still?
It took me off guard. Like I thought it was, like you said, it's very Jen of her, but I was like, I don't know. Now can't she relate a little bit more? Like, I don't know. And she, they grew so close and they went through so much. I thought she might do it for a second. And then I was like, okay, this is Brooklyn Jen. Like, of course she's going to be mad. But my question at first was too, I know like where it picked up, we talked about it. It was an interesting choice where it picked up, but I'm not quite sure why they did that, but I guess it's for like suspense factor maybe, because all I know is I had questions the entire first episode. Like, and I started psyching myself out. I was like, wait, isn't that how it ended last season? Like, should I go back and watch that scene? And then I thought his body was in the pool. So like when the kids, who was it, the younger son, when he was like, what's in the pool? I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, you didn't take the body out the pool? Like, what are you doing? Like, they're going to go out there and look, they're kids when you're being all weird about saying it's a dog or a squirrel. So, I mean, they always leave that room for you to be on your toes. So I think it was really smart that they started where they started. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's really interesting because we have this sort of question about Jen is maybe lying a little bit to Judy because she kept saying, oh, he was coming after me. He was going to strangle me. It was self-defense. And we get these flashbacks and we don't quite know like what it was that sort of pushed her there, but it doesn't look like it was exactly what she was saying. Yeah. What do you think? Do you think she's maybe like hyping it up a little so Judy's not as mad at her?
Well, yeah, because their relationship is built on lies. So I think it's just natural to not completely tell the truth, especially when the flashbacks that we do see don't really show that he was being aggressive towards her. So she would look more culpable if there was no reason for her to shoot him. So it makes sense to eliminate that part of the story. Yeah.
I'm very worried about that part of the story. Let's just say that too. We'll get into more of what predictions. But I'm like, it's always gonna come out. If we've learned anything from this show, like someone's always gonna find out. So yeah, we kind of end that scene with Jen dropping her off, saying goodbye, potentially forever, which I mean, I kind of figured it wouldn't be. They can't stay away from each other. But we have them sort of going their separate ways. Jen is decided to, take all of her cameras down, which is, I would say, a very good decision when nosy neighbor Karen comes over and, like you mentioned, Simone, the orange wine, and they start talking about security cameras, and Karen lets it slip that she has a security camera of the whole neighborhood. And that, of course, freaks Jen out quite a lot. And we also have Karen rolling up the pool cover and seeing just the little bird in there. So much happened during this scene. What did you guys think about the Karen and Jen interaction?
It's so funny. Like, this was probably the funniest part of the first two episodes. I love this dynamic. I need Karen to come back, even though you're literally like, Karen, stop. And I just also think it's great that her name is Karen with this new 2020 phenomenon of everyone named Karen. But I'm just like, she's so nosy. She's so rude. There was one line she said, and I could not stop laughing. It was when Jen said, "Be cool, Karen," when she was like, "It's 11:30. Why are we drinking?" But I just think it's so funny that she said like YOLO or YOLO, whatever it is. But I mean, Karen, we learned when we were 5, don't touch other people's ish. Like, stop. Who is she to roll up the pool cover? I literally was like, that crossed the boundary. First of all, you're in her backyard unannounced. And now, I don't know. So, but we need Karen. We need Karen to move this story forward. So I'm appreciative of our girl. And she makes me kind of want to go on Reddit because maybe I'll find out about things like orange wine. I don't know. So.
Yeah, completely. She's just so relatable. Like, everyone knows a Karen. Everyone knows a nosy neighbor like this.
I just audacity though to come to like just come up, like come to Jen's house and then be so invasive and then touching her pool, like, oh, there's a noise, let me check it out. No, like, sit your tail down. No one asked you to inspect the noise. If I needed help, I would have asked. And clearly I didn't ask for that. Like, she is, like, she irritates me. I think you like her more than I do, because she, like, irks my nerves. I cannot stand.
Oh, no, she is the worst. Like, I do not like her, but I'm like, I like seeing her on screen. Like, she is, I'm like, I need more scenes with her because I want to hate watch her.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, she has like good intentions is the thing. Like she does. Like she's like, I'll help you inspect noise, but it's also like back off, especially because she cannot read social cues whatsoever. Jen is not the kind of person that wants your help like that. She's just not. I thought that was so funny though. And we also do see Jen kind of looking into these cameras now. She is like, oh wow, show it to me. Like I want to see it. And of course there's the view of the car coming and Steve coming in. And so there's a lot of kind of ammo that could be used against her if anyone were to ever get their hands on that. We also see her later that night checking her own sort of camera footage. And that's also kind of weaves into the fact of like what actually happened when she killed him. Like, so I'm very nervous about that camera footage because that is some cold hard evidence right there. Yeah. We also get a little bit of Jen and her sons, which I think is really interesting and always fun to see. And I feel like they're going to play a bigger role this season, to be honest. Yeah. Henry's, of course, being super, super cute still. And Charlie is being a very skeptical and very teenage boy of him. I really like, okay. I want you to elaborate on that.
Mia, what'd you say?
I said he's the worst.
He's like
quietly kills me. I'm like, oh. Remember last season? Was that him that said like twat waffle? I remember someone said something funny. I think it was him. But that's how I feel about him. He's just. But I guess you're right. He's just being a teenage boy. It's just me being like, oh, you're so annoying. But I'm also like, he's asking the right questions. He's like, oh, you guys broke up again about him and Judy and Jen. So I'm just like, I shouldn't be mad at him. But I'm just like, oh, stop. Like.
No, I agree.
Go ahead.
He is asking the right questions, and it just proves that like kids or teenagers. They're not stupid. Like I remember being a kid, and I feel like my parents would think I didn't pick up on things, whether they were good or bad. But it's like we're just as intuitive. We have observational skills, especially if things are so obvious and you know something's up. Like they're not dumb at all.
Yeah, I feel like maybe he could be definitely a catalyst too. Like we think it's Karen, but like I think that Charlie could come in and mess some stuff up. I think that Charlie has so much of like Jen in him. Like I just see so much of her reflected into him, which is obviously a nightmare for her. But like this is totally how she was as a teenager. Like I could just see it.
Talking back, sassy, all of that.
I just know it, but I did really like the moment where she's kind of teaching him how to drive, and he starts talking about how like his dad used to do that with him, and I thought that was really sweet to see them connect. And then I'm also really curious what's going to happen because the person cuts them off, and of course Jen is sort of ragey. I'm wondering if that's Jen just being Jen, or if there's like a deeper sort of like PTSD thing going on with like the car accident. What do you guys think?
I think it could be possibly both. She's like, she hasn't really gotten over her trauma, and I think death just keeps popping up and up. So in that moment, like death possibly could have happened. So I think it's another reminder that life is very futile. And then also knowing that, she's also just an angry person. So the minute someone, whether they cut her off or they're rude to her, like she just fires back. So I think it was a mix of just being traumatized with the recent events and then the sudden scare of almost being in an accident, especially like an accident like that could have been super terrible. Like that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Jen's like her different sides of the spectrum because I do feel like she acts the same whenever she's under stress and then when she's just like going off on someone. But you could tell, like, that was a good question, Taylor, because you could tell in that moment, like she was saying, like, first of all, she should have a counter at the bottom. There should be a counter at the bottom of the screen that counts how many times she says the F word. Like when she says it, that's part of the drinking game too. They posted it's like when Jen says the F word and more than once in a sentence. But so in that scene, she said it so much. And it's just interesting because that's what she would do anyways. But you can tell she was triggered because it was almost like this look in her eyes where she just was like, it was like PTSD and it was shock and it was fear for like her son and just for like herself too. I think it's just that trigger reaction. I don't think it was Jen being Jen. So
yeah,
a lot of trauma and grief. Oh my gosh.
and somehow they make it so funny. Like what? How do they manage to do that? It's just like such amazing work. Yeah, exactly. Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. Amazing.
We also have we follow Judy. She's back at work. She and every time that Linda Cardellini is just like alone breaking down, I'm just like want to throw Emmys at her. I feel like when she's scrubbing all of like the like kind of blood and stuff off her, I was just like, ooh, this is just so much. She's so good. She also asks, because obviously she can't stay with Jen anymore for now, if she can sleep in Abe's room because she needs a place. And also she's just missing Abe, which I thought was so sad. But I thought the moment where she's crying and eating pudding was like such a 2020 mood. I was like,
true.
Yes.
This is some big quarantine energy right here. But then she also goes to Abe's room and she's looking for something. And we don't find out what that is until later. But as she's looking for something, we get introduced to these new characters. There's Michelle, who's dropping off her mom, Flo. And I'm very interested to hear what you guys think of Michelle.
I really liked Michelle. I thought she was super cool. I was trying to recognize the actor. I was like, I know her from somewhere. But anyways, I'll have to look that up later. But I really like these two new characters because you're always a little bit skeptical when new characters are introduced in new seasons. But I was like, this is gonna be good, especially when Flo was like, keep her away from me. That is such like, I feel like poor Judy. Like everyone's just like, get away from me. Like she's not even in the room for 5 minutes and she's like, I don't like this chick. And then when she hugs Michelle, like Michelle seems so nice. Like she hugged her and she was like, your hair smells good. And she was like, thanks. Like she just seems like a sweetheart. So I think they'll have a bigger role to play. I don't know what, but, and also, okay, I'm petitioning to make Judy hugs a thing. Like, you know how there's like the Paula clap, like when you clap above your head, like Judy always gives the best hugs. I feel like we talked about this on season 1 too, where like Judy is so genuine when she hugs people. She just like holds on tight. So, I mean, she essentially killed someone, but like we still love her.
But like she's still
by accident.
By accident, yeah, by accident.
Because she's like, she really is a sweet person. Like she has this genuine warm energy, but she also has this nervous energy, which is why Flo was like, keep her away from me, something's off. Yeah. But she means the best. Like she has the best intentions. I just feel like life's not really working out in her favor, which sucks because she's giving out good energy. So hopefully it comes back to her in return.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Absolutely. And we do get a moment of sort of happiness with her when she does find, Michelle finds the box for her that she was looking for. And it has the photo of Abe and it has some weed, which like, yes. And it has car keys and she goes to the car and apparently Abe left it for her, which I thought was really sweet. And it's such a Judy car too, which I'm like, good. Like this is the kind of thing, like she can't just drive a Prius. Like that's not Judy. Yeah. But she goes and she is planning to just sort of sleep in the car when Jen finds the bracelet that she left at the house and she calls her up and obviously this gets her back to the house. I thought that was very Carol, like, oh, you left like a little glove or like a little bracelet behind, like on purpose, question mark. I thought that was so great. Were you surprised that Jen like took this opportunity to kind of invite her back in?
No, because I genuinely she likes Judy, you know, despite the fact that she killed her husband. She actually likes her and she needs her in this time of need. And there's no one else she can talk to. And like we know with Judy wanted to get it off her chest that she killed someone. And at least Jen can openly discuss it with the very person who understands it the most. And she needs emotional support because she's going through a lot of grief and trauma at the same time. So I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Mia?
It's funny because this show just has such good writing because when I expect Jen to open up, she doesn't. And then when I least expect it, she does. And so I just feel like this is like Jen's way of love, like to literally call and be like, you left your bracelet Like, I just was like, she's such just like teenage angst. Like, this is, I see what you're saying now with like Charlie and Jen, how they're the same. Like, they just had that same energy. So I thought it was kind of like her way of showing love. And I thought it was really sweet. But I will say in that scene, I did expect, like, I just expected Steve to be around every corner. I don't know if anyone else felt that way, but when it started panning over, then we see Judy sitting there. I was like, is Steve gonna pop up from under the bed and get her? Like, I don't know what's going on, because clearly we found out like his body wasn't in the pool earlier. So I just like felt really on edge during that scene. But I don't know. I love seeing their relationship and I love seeing it unfold, because when the episode first started, I really wasn't sure where it was going to go, because they like hated each other. And I was like, are they going to spend half the season hating each other? Like, what's going to happen? So I was happy when they finally kind of got back to where they were like that first season when they first started their friendship. So yeah.
Yeah, and I especially love that scene because we did sort of have a reversal from the pilot. I just watched their little table read of the pilot, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I remember Judy asking Jen to give her a hug, and Jen's like, no, get away from me, you freaking weirdo. But in this episode, Jen asked Judy to give her a hug, which I thought was just like such a great little full circle like parallel. As we discussed, the parallels on the show are amazing, and that was one of my favorites. And we also find out that Judy used to live in her car with her mom, which is really interesting and not something I personally kind of expected. Were you guys shocked by that?
Yeah, completely. Like, I didn't expect that at all, but it's so Judy, because she was like, oh, it wasn't that bad actually, because they did it for a year. But I think that's just her personality. Like, she finds the best in every little crappy situation, as awful as it can be. Like, it doesn't take much to make Judy happy. So it was surprising, but like, she didn't make it seem like it was the worst point in her life.
Yeah,
that's so true. And I feel like, speaking of coming full circle too, in the first season, I remember this scene when they kind of like called each other for the first time and were like up all night talking. And I just remember, I think I might have said this, I was like, I feel like we're getting nothing out of Judy. Like, she doesn't talk about herself at all. So I really, I mean, we found out so much about Jen's life and her upbringing and all of that stuff. So I liked that we finally got to see a piece of Judy from her past. I also, there was one thing that I think it was maybe Jen, I don't remember, but someone in this scene was like, I didn't realize how good it was when I was regular and happy. And I was like, this is like the theme of quarantine 2020.
Yes.
It was so funny. Yeah, this is a really sweet scene.
So relatable. And then we get this crazy cliffhanger at the end. Doorbell rings and there is Steve ? It's James Marsden. So I was like, what is happening? We're gonna dive right into that episode in a second, but what were you guys thinking? Like, were you like, oh, it's a twin, oh, he's alive? Like, what were you guys like, who is this man?
Okay, this was my exact train of thought. I literally was like, is it the police? And then I was like, unlikely. And then I was like, it's Karen, she knows. And I was like, no. And then I literally was like, it's gonna be, oh my God, and the door opened. I was like, Steve, oh my gosh. So that whole, like, I mean, it was 2 seconds before it turned to the next episode, but I legit thought it was Steve. And I was like, why is he so calm? And even his demeanor was so different than Steve. So I was like, is he just being funny and mocking is like, hello, but he was so much brighter. So I already knew something was weird. So that was, I really did leave the episode thinking it was Steve and he wasn't actually dead. So that, because at that point, I don't think we knew that did we find out that Jen didn't shoot him yet?
Yes,
I don't know.
We found that out, but
I was like, maybe she didn't get him. Like, maybe that's why he was out of the pool. Like, so there was so much going through my head. Yeah, it was nuts. What about you, Simone? What do you think?
I knew it wasn't him. I was just like, the way Jen was acting that whole entire episode, it's very clear she killed him. And I was like, it's a twin, because that's such a common trope in a lot of like shows. Like the person magically has a twin that we've never heard about, and bam, they're here. So I was like, it's his twin. And lo and behold, we find out later on that it was. But a much better version of Steve, because Steve, his brother seems like a good guy.
Well, yeah, let's dive into episode 2, starting off by talking about our guy, Ben. I agree with you, Mia. The demeanor was so different. And I also agree with you, Simone. I was like, I think it may be like a twin or a relative or something. I just love that they kept the actor around because he's such a great actor. And so I was like, I love that we can still have him. Like, this is such a great way to keep him on the call sheet. Like, I love it. And so I think it's so funny because he is the polar opposite of Steve. He is like so kind. He never curses. he seems to vibe with Judy pretty well, and Jen just hates him like off the bat, which I thought was hilarious because he's literally, if you had to take an opposite person of Jen, it is Ben. Like Jen and Ben. Oh my God, wait.
Jen and Ben.
Jen and Ben.
Why did
Stop.
I do this?
I didn't even notice that, but I'm obsessed with that. But yeah, what were your guys' first impressions about Ben and when they sort of went into the office together and just the whole conversation that he had with Judy then?
I immediately, well, one, I was just happy because like I love James Marsden. I think he's like just the best. So I'm happy that he's still in the show. But like the actual character, I was honestly happy that Judy could still have a piece of like a piece of him a little bit, even though it's not actually him, it's his brother. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that he said, you know, like in the last season, he was like, what's his name again? The guy who died?
Steve.
I'm like,
Steve.
Yes, Steve. Steve in the last season, he was like, wherever Judy goes, chaos follows. But it was interesting because his brother said the same thing about him. He was like, wherever Steve goes, chaos follows. I just think it means that they're both chaotic people and they just attract drama. But yeah, I don't know. I like their dynamic between him and Judy. Once we get into predictions, I'll say more things later on. But I like him. I'm excited.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Mia?
So when this episode started, I still was like, in my head, I was like, it's Steve. And so when she was like whispering to Jen and she was like, Shmen, I was like, I almost rewinded. I was like, what is she saying? Is she having a stroke? Like, it's Steve. But then I was like, okay, his name is actually Ben. Like, it's a twin. I just was so in disbelief at first. But like Simone said, like you said, Taylor, I love James Marsden. I loved him forever. He was like my first celebrity crush. So I was so happy. Like I remember my takeaway from season 1 was like, oh my God, James Marsden's dead. Like we're not getting him back. So this was perfect. The perfect treat. Let me tell you, my Sunday is made. But I just think he's so funny. And he has like such good lines. Like when he was like, I'm a chiropractor. We're actual doctors. We got your back. I just like fell out laughing. And then also I thought it was very Judy to go pry anyway, right after she told Jen she wasn't going to, and then to like convince him that he's in Mexico. And then the girl was back in the office and I love her. She's like, they took all the computers and didn't even want water. I was like, #assistant life. Like this is so good. But I have 2 questions about this whole Ben situation. One, well, actually, no, I should probably say that till predictions. But I just think it's a little interesting that he's not identical, semi-identical, whatever. We'll talk about it later. But how did Ben know where to go? So I'm like, I kept thinking, did I miss something? But he said like the FBI is coming after them. But I'm like, one, how did he know that Judy was staying with Jen? Because she's been so in and out of the house. Does he even know that they're not together anymore? It was like he just showed up. So I'm like, is he plotting with Steve? And Steve, I don't know.
Now I'm really stressed out.
And Jen asked it, and I remember I'm like, okay, is anyone here going to ask the right questions besides Charlie? And then when Jen was like, how did you know where to come? He didn't really answer the question. He never really answered it. He just was like, the FBI is coming after him. I was
That's
like,
a good point.
So predictions. Whew.
That's so scary. I wasn't worried about that, but now I'm very worried about that. So
yeah,
sorry.
Worried.
But yeah, I think he's really interesting too. I really liked the scene. I agree with what you said, Simone. Like at least he's still kind of a piece of Steve, I guess, and one who seems more supportive because when they are in the office, like that the FBI raided, he's like, "You did the right thing." Even when Judy tells him that, "Hey, I'm the one who informed the police about all of this," and he's just like very kind to her. They connect about the rock that they're not supposed to take from the petrified forest. But and he even sort of grows on Jen, I think, when they are having pie together later, when he's talking about how his kid like vandalized the Carl's Jr., which I thought was so funny. But I'm just worried something's off. Like he's so nice that I'm like, I don't know if I believe it. Like I just feel like it has to be
like
fake.
Sociopathic nice, like they know how to charm you, and then bam, they like ruin your life, or like so they're up to something type of thing.
And then what you said too, Simone, when you were like, he said in that conversation with the pie, like wherever Steve goes, chaos follows. But it's like almost like he was saying it like he said it before and he knew what he was saying. Something's up. It's fishy.
Ooh, it's brewing.
It is definitely brewing. Very worried. But Jen is also worried, understandably so. I mean, she finds out about the money laundering and how Judy is, cooperating with the FBI casually, and she is understandably really not super happy about that. One of the saddest moments I feel like in these couple episodes when Jen's freaking out about what's gonna happen to her boys, and Judy's like, "I'll take care of them," and she's like, "I'm never leaving my children to you." which is fair, but also like that really hurts my heart. Did you guys like think that was as sad as I did?
I like felt for her, but also in that moment, as crazy as Jen can be, I completely agree, because like we said, wherever Judy goes, chaos follows. They'll be like hitchhiking. They'll be like, they're just gonna be nomads throughout the US if she takes on her kids. Like those kids will be living a different type of life. So no, I would not leave my children with her as well.
Okay, but do you think, because obviously Jen decides, okay, then I'll leave them to Lorna, which they have that conversation. Oh, Lorna, she's so funny. Lorna. She's what Karen will grow up to be, I feel like. I feel like they're the two sides of the same coin. But I don't know. Like, I don't know that I trust my kids with Lorna either. Like, I don't know. I don't trust them both. Like, I think we just need to find a whole new family for them.
Exactly. I agree with that.
But what did you guys think of Lorna coming back? I was so excited we got to see her in this episode again.
She is just Miss Shady Boots. Like, she is the mother-in-law that you hope not to have, and then you're stuck with, and you just have to deal with her. But no, like whenever she comes into a scene, like I know she's gonna throw the shade, she's gonna say something sassy, and I love it and hate it at the same time. But when Jen did ask her if she would be willing to be their guardian, I was like, I bet she's secretly hoping Jen drops dead so she can actually take the kids.
Oh, 100%.
So true.
Yeah, true. And I guess this is sort of a prediction or whatever, but we hinted at something interesting, I feel like, because Lorna gives her these pills, and we saw in season 1 that she is kind of a pill popper, I guess. She gives her fentanyl. Okay. And Jen's kind of considering them while she's eating the cookies later that night. I'm just curious to see what happens there and if that turns into something. But I feel like I just wanted to mention that, because I feel like that was a small moment that could turn into a very big moment. Speaking of big moments, let's talk about these detectives, shall we?
Yes.
So they are definitely onto something. I love that. I love these detectives so much. Like they just get the end of everyone's wrath constantly. But they finally get this restraining order against Judy for Jen, and then Judy pops right out and says it's a misunderstanding. What were you guys thinking about that scene?
Well, first off, when she was driving and she saw Jen, I was like, girl, keep driving. I was like, is she gonna do it? And I really thought she was gonna keep going past because she sped up, and then when she turned in, I was like, oh my God, no. Like, no. And then of course, Judy coming out and talking about the highlights, like, I like your highlights, was so Judy.
Yeah.
But I honestly was surprised that Jen even said anything about Steve. And I know she had to like cover her tracks because she just went last week, because I guess we picked up and it's like clearly like the week after, but I know she had to cover her tracks for going to the police and being like, Judy did arrest her. But I was like, you could have come up with some other reason to fly. Like, you came up with reasons with Karen about the guy in the backyard who was arguing. You couldn't, like, don't bring Steve into this because then you look suspicious. So I feel like she set herself up for that. I was like, I could not believe Jen in that moment. The cop was talking about drowning. She was so weird. Like, when she was like her attitude about it was like, it wasn't even suspicious when people drown. You know how that goes. You're going to get roped in. But I was like, does she suspect anything of her yet? Because, like, I don't know. I just thought that was so weird at the end. But I was really happy that, I forget his name. I was really happy that other detective came back because I loved him. So
I think Nick,
right? This season. Say it again?
I think Nick.
Nick, yes! Nick. Team Nick.
Let's talk about him, because he doesn't really want anything to do with this police force. He gives them the files, but he's not really wanting to like join back on the force. And obviously we know last season he had issues with him not, like, I think, passing psych tests, and maybe like a sort of an alcohol dependency type thing. Simone, what do you make of Nick's, attitude right now?
I was so here for it. I love when the very system that tried to push you down comes back and asks for your help. And you're like, no, I'm not. Bye. I was like, yes, Nick, you better tell them, because it's, you shunned me before, but now you're in desperate need because you feel like I have useful information. No, you're not going to use me. Like, you can take what I've gathered and like just use it for what you can, but I'm not going to be like, I'm not just gonna give in because you need my help now. So I was so here for it. I love that he stood his ground.
Yeah, I'm excited to see if he continues to not be involved or if he gets sort of roped back in, because I mean, he has reason to kind of want to take these people down now, I would say. So I'm curious to see if that was a one-off or if he's going to kind of come back and just cause so much more chaos. I also would like to talk a little bit about the Holy Harmonizers, because
I was waiting for it.
So cute.
So cute and so funny. Like, every single one of these scenes just cracks me up. But we have Jen getting very nervous about perhaps what could happen to her legally, and so she takes a card from Christopher. His I think brother is like a criminal defense attorney, and I'm just so glad we got to see Christopher again, because I think he's just so funny. And there's that moment with the dog, which do you think that means something deeper than just like, oh, she's cuddling with a dog?
You're so right, because I know it was weird, but I didn't really think much further about it, but they definitely had a shot for a really long time on that dog when she was petting it. It was weird. You're so right, but what could it be? I know, like she said, a dog died in the pool, so like I'm like, will it come back? I don't know, but really my main takeaway from that scene was that the dog's name is Adele, and I love that. That's it.
Most important detail.
That's a very fair takeaway, I would say. Yeah. So do you have any like sort of hypotheses? I don't know what word I'm looking for. Hypotheses about this?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it means nothing. Maybe it means nothing. But I just felt like it was very like planted. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's something there. Maybe there's not. Maybe it was just for fun.
Good call, Taylor.
Yeah.
I read into everything. Like, I don't trust anyone. I don't trust anything. All of these decisions seem very like intentional to me.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of speaking of like symbolism in animals, we also have this bird who's stuck in this garage, and we have Judy sort of coaxing it out, because I just think it's just such a thing with her like gentle nature, who's like good with animals and everything. And we get the moment where Jen, later that night thinks that it's like a mother bird. She takes the nest out. What did you guys make of this sort of situation? This was another one where I'm like, I don't quite understand the point, but like I know there's something there.
There's definitely something there, but like you said, like I haven't really connected the dots yet. But it was really precious because apparently the birds really like love their house and they want to stay there. But I don't know. I don't know what that implies for the future.
Yeah. What about you, Mia?
I don't know if it was like a foreshadowing or what, but I know like the symbolism with the bird. Clearly the first season was like the son, I keep saying, I know it starts with an H. Henry. He thinks that it's his dad, but in this scene I was like, is it basically saying that trouble's multiplying? Like there's one bird and then it's like, oh wait, there's more. So like, I don't know if it's saying, and I mean, if the symbolism is carrying over and it's like, that's like one dead body and then there's more and more and more. I don't know if it's just saying like, if it's sweet, if it might be more sweet symbolism, be like, new life is coming, like it's multiplying, something's multiplying. And then I knew it was no coincidence when there was like a thump in the garage and then it was like the birds, but I'm like, oh, he's in the freezer. So like, I don't know what that can be, but I love that ending. They're so good at symbolism. So
they are.
I agree. I love how we're getting so like literature class right now.
You get writers together.
Yeah, honestly, you kind of have to with the show because it is so rich on like symbolism and it's just so smartly written and so different than anything else. I feel like that's sort of on TV now. But yeah, we'll get into predictions a little bit later. But before we do that, Mia, you have a special little segment for us, yes?
Do. Guess what's back? Dead or Tread. We probably don't have the tire tracks this year. So,
okay.
you know, I just made that.
Nice.
Oh my God, that was a really good tire track. Better than I could ever do. So,
listen, my neighbors are be like,
they're gonna come over like Karen and be like, want some wine?
Hey,
wine. But okay, so this game is called Dead or Tread. So I'm gonna name some scenarios from the show, this first and second episode, and then we will decide as a panel, and you guys too, if you're in the live chat, let us know if, as the offender, if you were the offender, would they be dead to us, or would we forgive them and just like move forward in our friendship or relationship and just tread lightly for feeling nice? So the first, I have two because I was like, we have so much to talk about. So I only did two this time. But the first one is, if your annoying neighbor asks you if you want to chat over wine, would you say, no, they're dead to me? Like turn them down, shut them down? Absolutely not, Karen. Or would you say, you know, I'll move forward and just tread lightly. I'm not telling them about my business. How do you guys feel about that?
So I have two different answers, because in normal times, I'm saying tread. Like maybe they just want to make friends. Maybe that could be a good friendship. If they're asking me during quarantine, I will say, no, you're dead to me. You need to be sheltering in place and you need to be self-isolating, ma'am or sir.
Yes.
So that's the answer.
PSA. Simone, what do you think?
That was the great response. Like,
thank you.
100% agree. Let's pretend that life was normal right now, though. I would tread lightly. Like, I mean, you know, I think the Karens of the world, they mean well. They're nosy, but their intentions are good. So I'll be like, you know what? What's a glass of wine with a nosy person gonna hurt me? I'm just not gonna tell her my business. That's all.
Very smart. What about you, Mia?
Those are all good points. I was on the fence about this. I know I made this question, but I was very on the fence. I was like, this is the thing. When you give someone a little, they take a lot. So like my initial reaction was like, what, like Simone, like what's it gonna hurt if I'm just hanging out with a little Karen for one afternoon, but then they keep coming back for more and they want to hang out with you and they want to be your best friend and you're sketchy. So I feel like they'd probably just be dead to me. I'd probably have to they get the point if I was just like, no, sorry, I'm busy, I can't, and like just keep making excuses. But that's also mean, and that's not in my nature. Like I probably would just do it. That's what I want to do, but I know I would be like, yeah, Karen, let's hang out. So I don't know. That's
it does not want to have drinks with me. I guess I will just learn my lesson now.
Hopefully. Okay, that would never happen with you two, though. I love you way too much. We would be having, if this quarantine was not a thing, we'd be having orange wine together right now, honestly.
Yes.
So, second question. Clearly, if someone killed your husband after you did something equally as bad to them, like, I don't know, kill their husband, something else, would they be dead to you in return? Or would you just tread lightly and be like, okay, kind of like Jen, you know, she's in the middle, like, yes, you did a bad thing, I did a bad thing, we're even now, let's move forward. How do you feel?
I would say dead, but at the same time, if I did something equally bad, I feel like it's mutually assured destruction. So you have no choice but to tread. So I guess I'm like reluctantly treading.
I would tread too, just because like we're even at this point and you need me, I need you. So this is just like you said, a mutual exchange. Like, let's just make this a tit for tat type of thing. No one's better than the other because we've both done the same thing. So I would just tread lightly and just know that I'm still gonna look at you from like, not completely trust you, but know that we're both equals at this point.
Yes, I'm on the same page, same exact page. You're forced into it.
Thank you so much. Dead or Tread is one of my favorites. Jen or Judy, another. I love that game as well. You have the best special segment, Mia.
Yes,
thank you. So fun.
Another little segment for you, hosted by Simone. We have some news for you guys.
Yes, so it's time for news. I don't know how the music goes. But this past week, the Dead to Me cast had a table reading of the very first episode. So we're going to play a clip for you guys so you can watch it.
Yes.
Judy! Jen knocks
Judy!
The door opens. A man stands there in his robe. Jen immediately recognizes him.
Can I help you?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, I've always wanted to do it that way. You never let me.
Asshole.
Can I help you? I'm Steve. Sorry. Okay. Can I help you?
Can we get Dermot Mulroney in here to change this whole thing up?
I liked it. Hey, just as
Okay.
options. Giving you options. I'm giving you options.
Okay.
Can I help you?
You're Steve.
Yeah.
You're alive.
Yeah. Sorry, it's 11:30 at night. What's happening? Do I know you?
No, I've heard a lot.
Jen's
About
phone
you.
rings. It's Judy calling.
Is Judy here?
No, Judy doesn't live here anymore.
She doesn't.
No, we broke up 2 months ago.
This is.
Cut to Judy's bedroom. Judy paces and frantically calls Jen again, but her voicemail picks up.
Hey, Jen, I can explain. Please call me back. God, I'm so sorry. Please call me back. Please let me explain.
Back outside Steve's house, Jen stands on the porch stunned.
Okay, wait. How do you know Judy?
I just thought she was a friend.
A friend. Oh, okay. Well, if you see her, can you tell her not to? You can tell her stop coming around here while I'm at work, or I'm going to change the locks. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to bother you.
It's all right. It's all right. I gotta go. I'm running a bath.
Do you want
Let
company?
me do that again. Let me do that again. Sorry.
Do you want company?
I'm gonna do that again.
Can you do it
That's
as
okay.
a regal Englishman?
Yeah. Yes. It's all right, but I've got to go. I'm running a bar.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, guys, I thought that clip, or I thought the whole table read was funny. I watched it while I was like working, but I was like mostly watching it while I was like kind of working from home. But it was so funny. Like Linda Cardellini had props when she had to like eat the cookie. She was like eating jelly beans, I think. Christina Applegate was sitting in front of like a full fireplace. It was just like one of the funniest things. And they were raising money for World Central Kitchen, which is such a great organization, helping to provide meals for people affected by COVID-19. So such a great cause. I donated some money in their honor because I was like, they did this all for me for free. And I had such a good time. So I think you can still donate if you just go to World Central Kitchen if you guys would like to also
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for telling us that.
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
really cool.
Yeah.
It was so funny. James Merzen's accents, as you heard in the clip that we played for you, were just like hilarious. He was one of the funniest parts of the whole thing. So I think you can watch it on the Facebook page too still.
Yes.
So definitely go check that out. So yeah, that was a little clip from the table read. I don't know if you had any other news for us, Simone?
Yes. So Christina Applegate had an interview with Ellen, and it turns out that, okay, guess what her happiest place is like in the world?
This is Christina Applegate?
Yes.
Her house.
I'm gonna say in front of her fireplace.
It is a nice fireplace. No, it's actually, she said, reading to her daughter's classmates. Like she actually kids and she does little accents, so it's very on brand with what we just watched. But
Wow.
yeah, that's her happiest place, is to just be with them and to read books to them. Obviously that's not really happening right now, but I thought that was really cute because I'm like, of all things she could be doing, of all the amazing opportunities and extravagant things she could do, it's reading to kids.
Oh, that's so sweet. I do think I remember from the table read where they were like, where are you going first after quarantine? I think she said her daughter's library, which makes a lot of sense then if that's her happy place. That's so wholesome.
I
She's
know.
so precious.
It's
Christina
adorable.
Applegate has some Judy in her for sure.
Yes.
Oh, that's so sweet. Let's do some super, super quick predictions. We're running out of time, but I want to know what you guys think might happen next. Mia, let's start with you.
So I definitely think Karen's gonna come back, and I think she's gonna cause some issues this season. I don't know how, but I'm just waiting. And then I also think, I mean, my prediction is that like, I think the twins, Ben and Steve, I think they're swapping places, or they're both in on it, or it's just Steve. But I am a little bit, I don't know if that theory is foolproof, because Judy knows the difference between them. She immediately knew. She wasn't like Steve, Ben, she was like Ben. So something weird is going on though. And I don't think he's like on the good side. I hope he is, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think that's a good call. What about you, Simone?
Yeah. Okay, so I do think it's Ben. I definitely think Steve is dead, but he's either going to get into a relationship with Judy or Jen. And if it's Judy, she's going to get pregnant, and that's going to be the miracle baby. If it's Jen, Jen is going to be so conflicted because this is the very like other half of the man that she hates, yet she loves him. And it's going to be one of those weird romances because him and Judy, like him and Jen just had like, at first she didn't like him, but then she warmed up to him. And I was like, I could see us shipping them. So either him and her or him and Judy fall in love and make a baby.
Those are bold.
Wow.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
Here's the thing though, crazier things have happened on this show. So, like,
Very true.
I'm gonna say no.
We shouldn't be shocked.
We would, yeah, honestly, I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense for the show. Like, I don't know. I think that perhaps these pills might come into play just because we did see Jen looking at them for a little too long for my liking. I'm curious what's going to happen there. I also don't think this body is going to stay in the freezer. I think they're going to have to keep changing places. My mom made such a good prediction last season. There was something about like empty units because they're like Jen and Lorna are real estate agents, obviously, and something about empty units. And my mom thinks that they're going to hide the body in an empty unit. And I'm like, I like that idea. So I'm going to just steal what my mom thinks is going to happen and say that. So I'm super excited. Guys, we're going to cover a couple more episodes today at 6 and 8, I believe. That's Pacific time. So definitely join us for episodes 3 through 6. Yes, I can do math. 3 through 6. Where can everyone find you guys on social media to keep talking about this show?
Yes, you guys can find me at Simone A. Thomas on Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. What about you, Nina?
I just first want to give a shout out to my dad. He's watching. So hi, Dad. Even though it's Mother's Day, my mom's probably with him right now. But so happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. You can find me on Twitter at Hot Mess Mia. It's a hot mess as always. And then on Instagram at yours truly, Mia.
Awesome. And you guys can find me on Twitter at alphabet_Ann and on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_. Also make sure to follow AfterBuzz on all of the social medias. You can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you can listen to podcasts and shows. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you very soon. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.